Okay, hello students. Coming to Java programming course, Unit 1. In the last two videos, we completed Chapter 1 of Unit 1, that is programming structure in Java. And now the second chapter of the Unit 1 is data types, variables, and operators. And I have divided this chapter into two videos. Video 3 related to data types and variables. Video 4 of this unit 1 for operators. Coming to this data types and variables, and these are the topics we are going to be covered in this chapter: data types and variables, introduction, data types, declaration of variables, how we can declare variables of these data types, and individual data types we will discuss more in detail. And typecasting, it is for sometimes we are assigning values of one type to another type, and sometimes maybe automatical conversion allowed, and some compatible types between, and incompatible types we should go for casting process. And you already know about this type of topics from C and C++ languages. And also coming to this one, scope of variable identifier, scope and lifetime visibility of the variable or identifier defined, and literal constants, symbolic constants, and printf method formatted output with println we are using currently right now. And we can also use this printf method as we used in C, here also possible. Then go to first topic is introduction. So in particularly here we talk about primitive data types. So generally every language should have this data types, and whereas this Java language program deals with the following entities like primitive data types, and moreover we have some classes and objects also there, and interfaces are just similar to like classes, and also their references and different variables can create for an interfaces. And we will study arrays also, also type data types arrays, and Java contains some different types of array and initialization and declaration. Something different is compared with C and C++ language. And methods of the classes, member functions, or different type methods of we can create and consider those as for applying operations on data. And coming to here, primitive data and their types are defined independent of the classes and interfaces, because primitive data is particularly related to built-in data types, and we compare to classes and interfaces are coming to like user-defined data types. And the arrays methods derive their types from the first three entries, are nothing but from this type of array declaring based on built-in data types. And methods we are also specifying the type of related to primitive type data representation. And coming to data types in Java, so go to here, data types in Java, we take that primitive data type and non-primitive data type. And here primitive again we have numeric type and non-numeric type. And again in numeric, integral and floating point values. And integer we consider this byte, short, int and long. And whereas coming to this floating point uh, type of representation data, float and double. And non-numeric point of view, character and boolean. And these are all coming to primitive. All these eight data types we consider as primitive data types. And non-primitive we will go and see classes, interfaces and arrays, and we will discuss these three separately in the further chapters. And coming to data types in Java. So Java defines 8 primitive types of data: byte, short, int, long, char, float, double, and boolean. And like all these 8 primitive data types are categorized into 4 groups. The first group it is indicating that is an integers, and second one is a floating point numbers, and third one is a characters, and the one is boolean. I told you that this is numerical related types, and these two related to non-numeric types. And coming to integers, okay, coming to integers, this group includes byte, short, int, and long. These are the 4 different types related to integer type data we are organizing during our programming designs. And all which are full valued signed numbers. So Java supports only signed numbers and doesn't support unsigned numbers. And floating point number, this group includes float and double, which represent numbers with fractional precision. Here, fractional precision. And coming to characters, this group includes char, which represents symbols in a character set, like letters and numbers. And we consider these characters as an integral type by default in Java. And next one is a Boolean. Boolean includes Boolean values that may be true or false values. Next one, declaration of variables. And we know that to organize data in our programs, we need to define variable of different types. You are going to organize data. So the variable is the type of basic unit of storage in Java program. Generally, we store some type of values in a variables, and a variable is defined by the combination of an identifier and a type and an optional initializer. And we know that the way of defining variables. So we have an the way you can define a variable with an identifier and should specify the type, and we have an optional initialization of a variable or with value, something like. In addition, all variables have a scope, and scope begins with a block of code or a block you can create with curly brace and closed brace, and which defines block, and every block has its own scope, which defines their visibility and lifetime of a variable with the scope. And coming to the declaring a variable here, in Java, all variables must be declared before they can be used. The same way here in C and C++, all variables must be declared before they can be used. But whereas in C and C++, variable should be declared at the starting of the scope, main scope. And here in C++, we have an alternative of defining variable anywhere of your program. In the same way, in Java, you can declare a variable anywhere of your program, but the condition is when it is the first use, you must declare a variable, right? Here it is the basic form of a variable declaration: type, type of the variable, and variable identifier, and you can use this equal to and value. You can give separator comma, and you can give another identifier and value. Like this, you can define many number of values or variables like this. I'm giving just example for this syntactical representation. You can define, for example, integer a, integer a comma integer b, like that. Okay, so see some examples of this. Like here are several examples of variable declarations of various types, and note some includes an initialization. So see here, integer a comma b comma c declares 3 ints a, b, and c. And here C, integer d equal to 3 comma e comma f comma 5 declares 3 more ints initializing d and f. So these all these are valid declaration of types double. double pi value, character X, something like. Next one, coming to the data types individually. So see here, Java defines 4 integer types. So first we will go for integer types, byte, short, int and long. In Java, default is int type, and when we always preferable to give integer value with this type, and we can also define integer values with this byte and short and long also. When we prefer a smaller value for int and byte and short, for larger integer values we go for long. And always Java supports only signed values. Okay, the width and ranges of these integer type variables we like. So byte variable takes 8-bit size, short 16 bits, int value 32. 32 means 4 bytes, 4 bytes, and 64 bits, 8 bytes. So and these are the value ranges for these integral types. Coming to individually bytes, it takes 8-bit type storage for the value. So the range of value it can hold by -128 to 127. And this is the example declaration of byte variables or byte identifiers. And coming to short, so short is a 16-bit and nothing but 2 bytes. So the range of this one is -32,7682 to 32,767. And this way you can define short variables. Coming to integer, so the most commonly used integer type it is int. It is signed 32 bits. So the range of these values is like this. And reason why the byte and short values are used in an expression, they promoted into int when expression is evaluated. So type promotion, and we discuss the same point later clearly. When we assign values of byte and short, generally we perform some operations using expression. The value automatically crosses the range of byte and short. Then controller automatically converts those into integer. And coming to here, long is 16-bit type, and it is 8 byte. So 8-byte long values are can stored into this long integer data types. And coming to the second category of data types is floating point. And floating point numbers nothing but a real numbers that are used evaluating expression that require this fractional precisions, integral along with decimal and fractional precisions. So there are two kinds of floating points, the float and double, and which represents single and double precision numbers. And we know the precision based on the factorial value of the given literal of this floating point type. So float takes 32-bit, nothing but 4, and double takes 64 bits. So automatically 8 bytes of data, and these are the ranges for those floating point values. Next one, coming to float, and it is single precision value 32-bit long, okay, and double precision it is 64 bits, and it maintains double precision values, and it takes much longer fractional part it holds by this double variable type data type. Coming to character, in Java, data type used to store characters is char, okay, character, but the difference between C and C++, so in C we use this character is a 8-bit wide word, but here it is in Java this is not the case. Here Java uses Unicode system to represent characters, So Unicode defines a particular character set for the universally we follow the symbols, representations, everything. And so that's why it requires 16 bits to represent that Unicode character set, 16 bits. That means 2 bytes. And the range is 0 to 65,536. There is no negative chars. Remember this one, there is no negative characters. And note that one, I told you that formal specification of Java, character is referred to as integral type. I told you the same, which means that it is the same general category as int, short, long, and byte have. And we have some automatical conversion between this int and character also. Next one, Boolean. So Boolean type having a logical values. When we get some expression evaluations or all those cases, it gives some values like true or false. Next one, coming to typecasting, and we know that assigning a value of one type to variable of another type. So generally, this will be happen based on compatibility type and incompatibility types. If the two types of compatible, then Java will perform conversion automatically. When we are assigning one type value to variable to another type variable, automatically Java will take care automatic conversion when the two types of compatible. For example, it is always possible to assign an int value to long. Int value to long. Int value can be automatically converted into long type. So, however, not all types are compatible because sometimes we may assign longer size value to smaller size type variable, then automatically it's not possible in the case. So here not all type conversions are implicitly allowed. The automatic conversion nothing but implicitly we are allowing the variables to be assigned one type to another type, but this is not all time the case, so we need to do some conversion taking this. So for instance, there is no automatic conversion defined for double to byte. So double is very longer size number and a variable, and which cannot be fit into a byte type variable. So here it is automatic or implicit conversion will not be allowed for us. So in this case, the conversion, it is still further anyway, fortunately it is still possible to obtain a conversion between incompatible types. Incompatible types we can allow the process, but we need to do some process called casting. So we need to do some process called cast, which performs casting, which performs an explicit conversion, not implicit, explicit conversion between incompatible types. Now coming to first thing, Java automatic conversions. So when one type of data is assigned to another and we know that both compatible types, then the two types should be compatible and the destination type is larger than the source type. That it is means int to double or int to long. Int to long means int is a smaller type and long is a larger value. So larger to smaller type, it always possible compatible automatic conversion allowed. When these two conditions are met, widening conversion takes place. Widening conversion nothing but automatic conversion. And see here example, int type is always large enough to hold all valid byte values. So all byte values can automatically fit into a int type. So that is widening conversion. And casting incompatible types. Casting incompatible types. So here automatic conversions are even though helpful for us, but they will not fulfill all the needs. Automatic conversions are all not at the time it is possible to convert automatically. So for example, if you want to assign an int value to a byte, an int value to a byte. So we cannot fit this int value into a byte type variable. So how it is possible to organize? So this kind of conversion is sometimes called a narrow conversion. It's not widening conversion. It is called narrowing conversion. So hence you are explicitly making the value narrower so that it will fit into a target type. We are making that value into a narrow value, and some without any data loss we need to be convert those type of value variable value to this desired variable value. So see example for this. So casting incompatible type. To create conversion between two incompatible types, we must use casting. So casting is a process which performs explicit type conversion. So cast is simply an explicit type conversion. Generally we use parenthesis for this, parenthesis, target type and the value we are going to assign for this. Okay, coming to example here, I have an integer variable a and byte variable b. So I am assigning this integer variable to a byte variable. This is incompatible type. At narrow, not narrow conversion. It is not performed by automatically. We have to do casting process. So casting process is give this syntax to like this. What type, what we are changing from byte, int value changing to byte. So specify this byte type within the parenthesis of this before this value assigning to a byte variable. So this process is called casting. Another example, I have a byte variable b and I have an integer variable I equal to 257. So here I am doing casting here. So here I am performing casting here. I am assigning integer value to a byte. So it saves and what it display on the screen when we try to print the b value. B byte variable can hold minus 128 to 127 only, but how it holds 257? Okay, let me explain what happened actually here. So, it performs some modulus operator among these two values. So what is the range of this byte is 256 minus 128 to plus 127 including 0. Total the range of hold the value size it is 256. So we can perform 257 is an integer variable here. Modulus with 256. Modulus with 256. Then what value will get here as a reminder? 1. What value will get? Reminder 1. So when you display the byte value b, it gives value 1 on the screen. So which is 1 in this case. The same way here, double variable I am assigning to a byte. So this one I am assigning to a byte variable. Here also typecasting performed and the same, but here byte is a integral data type which doesn't know how to hold the precision value or fractional part of a value. So it simply ignores this fractional part and it just holds 323 and 323 is modulus with 256. It gets the value 67 and it displays as a byte variable after casting. And when you want to convert again it to back, just add 256 to these values. 1 plus 256, it gives 257 for the case integer. And here 67 plus 256, it gives 323 again back. This is the process of typecasting. And automatic type promotion in expressions. When we are performing expressions or doing something expression like. So here, for example, byte variable here, byte variable, byte variable. When we perform this expression like this, it automatically increases the number range after performing A into A multiplying with B and division with C. We are getting some value and doesn't fit into a byte. Then we should define that variable to hold this result as D. So we need to perform and we need to define an integer type that automatically it will convert that expression value into this one. Another case here, we have a byte variable, character and short, integer, float and double. When we are performing this type of expression here, First F and B. F and B, float and byte. So float and byte, it gets float value as an automatic promotion. And here integer and character, it automatically gets the character integer type as. When we perform this operation, the type conversion automatically holds the result value into an integer. And here it is double and short, it automatically takes the case into double. And as an expression evaluation, we know that plus and minus having same precedence. So that's why left to right is associative property. So float and integer, again we get float representation, and integer and double we get double, and float and double and we get double precision. So that's why the result to hold this expression, we automatically result store in a variable called double value variable or double data type. So this is something about the typecasting processes. And coming to scope of a variable identifier, scope of a variable. So we know that so all the variables used have been declared at the starting of main method generally. However, Java allows variables to declare within any block. You can declare a variable in any member function of a class, or maybe anywhere of your program. Here generally specifically a block defines a scope. When we create a block starting with a curly open brace and ending with a closed curly brace, so here that defines a scope. So each time you start a new block, so you are creating a new scope. So that is the reason. So the a scope determines which objects are visible to other parts of your program. That is very important. Once you define a scope, within that scope, the variables objects you created that are visible to which parts of your program, and which also determines the life of those objects, lifetime of those objects, and the values of the variables hold at the time. Okay. Coming to in Java, there are two major scopes generally defined in our programs by the class and by the method. Coming to the example for a block scope. So I have a class called scope. This is the scope of the class. And inside this scope, I have a main function. And this is the main function scope. And inside this, I have a if condition. And this is the scope of if condition. And see, in a main scope, I have defined one variable called x. This known to all code within main. Within main, whatever you write instructions, this variable can allow to go anywhere, any of this scope. And I initialize x equal to 10. And condition is if x equal to 10, then int y equal to 20. So here I started a new scope here, this one, new scope here, and only known to this block is that y. So y defined inside this if condition, if f is only accessible to this scope only. And here x and y both are known here, so we can allow to print the x value and take and operate anytime. You can change value, you can perform operations on this variable here, because x is visible inside this scope. Why? Because this scope is inner scope of this main scope. So x belongs to main scope, so it can also access inside x scope also, if condition scope. And but the thing is that it is error at this time y equal to 100. You are changing value here, that is completely unknown here. Why? Because the scope of y is only up to this if condition, and outside of this scope y value doesn't known to any part of the program. So we can print here x value. Like this we can define a scope and lifetime of a variables. Coming to literal constants. And we know that constants are nothing but the values that are assigned to a variables of different types. See one by one. So integral literals. So integral literals means the value that we assign integers to an integer numbers or integer variables. So that is, for example, 1, 2, 3, like you can assign any type of values to an integer. And but we have something different integral that are started with JDK7. So there are two other bases which can use the integral literals, that is base 8 and base 16. So beginning with JDK7, I told you to in the previous lab session. So try to install 7 or more than 7 JDK versions for getting comfortability with our course, Java course for the R19 regulation. So here you can specify the value prefix with a value called this one. Suppose I want to specify the decimal value, you can just choose this like type value or binary. When you specify binary integral values, and you can use this like this B. Okay, so here for example I want to specify something number in a binary format, and you can use this to 0B version, and you can give 1010 nothing but 10 value that is assigned to integer variable X here. The same way, beginning with JDK7, you can embed one or more underscores in integer literal values, that it is like, so suppose I want to assign a larger number to an integer value, so you can use some underscores here to separate the number to readability for understanding value to read that. So not only one single cursor underscore, you can use multiple underscores between the partition, like this also allowed from JDK7, beginning with JDK7. And coming to floating point literal values, here this number represents decimal values with a fractional component, and we know that very well. And generally we represent these floating point numbers for two notations, standard notation and scientific notation. Standard notation generally it a decimal point followed by a fractional component, only fractional component, and these are the examples here. But in a scientific notation, the number floating point value, number plus a suffix, that suffix the power of something value, like an expression exponent that indicates generally the power value. Here this type of representations considered as a scientific notation of floating point literals. Next one, Boolean literals. These are very simple, and you know that the only two values, true and false, logical values. And coming to character literals, and we know that Unicode character set for all the universal language symbols, and a literal character is represented inside a pair of single quotes. These are the examples. And it is hold for 16-bit values, that it is 2 bytes. And string literals, so string specifies that it is a class in Java, and nothing but string is nothing but a sequence of characters between a pair of double quotes, and these are the examples we can assign string literals in your Java programs. And coming to symbolic constants, here symbolic constants that are already known by everything, that symbolic constant is a variable whose value does not change throughout the program. Throughout the program, once value assigned to this one, and that doesn't change. Example pi, and northern is something like values we can use. It is usually preferred to declare these constant symbolic constant using all capital letters for better understanding that it is a symbolic constant. Just like example pi, something pi value that doesn't change the value. And also like something constant like this, and speed of a light used generally in some scientific applications to perform operations on this type of constant values. And next one, formatted output with printf method. So here, using this printf method, as we use this printf method in C++, the same way you can also use here in Java program. So let me show you how to use this printf method. So in Java, formatting output is a main part in every programming languages, and carried out here in these two ways, using class formatter or a method printf. So in the last class lab session in quadratic equation program exercise 1, we used format system.out format to display the values using access specification and like that. That you the same practice can do with these programs also. And another case is printf method here. The formatter class is discussed later, and later chapters we will discuss more about this one. And now we are concentrating about printf method. So we can use the same type of case by used in Java, C or C++. So here system.out.printf, we can define something into, and here you use this comma as a separator here and like this. So it simply displays on the screen when you use this printf method. Price of this item is 22 rupees. Next one, you can use this percentage %d type of symbolic representations, and as we used in C language, and separating these character values from using comma, and the same type of cases here also. Coming to formatting output of integer numbers. So field generally, we feel when we are assigning a value to a particular variable, and the justification is the maybe left justification or right justification, and we can use some sign representation to take this part of right or left justification. Example, for making it left justification, we place -7 minus sign after the sign indication. In Java, default is right justification. So to make this left justification value, we use minus representation, minus sign before this percentage. So here, see here, example input p equal to 73. When we are displaying on the screen using printf, and we use this simple statement like this. But I want to make this as a right justification and just use this 20d. Okay. So to make this right justification, we use this one like, but when we want to make this left justification, use minus symbol here, minus sign, so it displays like this. So this is the usage of this formatting using printf method. For floating point numbers, generally floating point numbers involve in three parameters like field width, justification, and precision. So field width is automatically specifying with the conversion letters F or capital F using with this percentage sign. And justification, right justification is default in Java, and left we just give negative sign after this percentage sign, modulus sign. And precision is generally, we know that decimal point after the digits, introducing a period followed by a number of after this symbol. So when we use percentage symbol, just like percentage symbol and dot 3, that indicates that only 3 digits can display after the decimal point. That it means 12.2 5 3 like this, 2 and 5 3 like this. Only 3 digits after this decimal point it displays. Okay, so these are something about related to data types and variables. Thank you.